What's up, guys? It's Nick, Two Pillars Comics. As you all know, we are doing the Amazing Spider-Man Challenge of 2022. I am reading, hopefully you guys are reading, every issue of the Amazing Spider-Man. It comes to about 3 issues a day, gives you a decent amount of leeway to get it done well before the holiday times. Look, it's going to be fun, I hope, but it's sitting on Tuesday. I started on January 1. Today, I will be reading with issue number 9. So I've read AF 15 and then 1 through 8 so far. So that's 3 issues a day. And I was going to just kind of step in the room here for a minute, do a quick kind of recap, and then again, I'll do another one maybe Friday or Saturday and kind of give you a full rundown of what my thoughts are so far on The Amazing Spider-Man. And it's very interesting so far because, again, I've never read any of the original Spider-Man stuff. I've read the Ultimate Spider-Man. Actually, before the holidays, after actually Christmas, that week between Christmas and New Year's Eve, I really got an itch for reading some Spider-Man because I knew I was anticipating this. And I started reading the Todd McFarlane run, which was really, really cool until he left, and then it just started kind of really going downhill from there. But this has been so interesting to me so far, and just I really enjoyed it a lot more than I expected, and I'll tell you why. The artwork is really good. Steve Ditko, I really am enjoying it. The way he draws Peter Parker during this time period in comics, and the way he establishes his abilities and flexibility and what he can do with the webs, so creative. Okay, Stan Lee's writing is very interesting, especially if you're kind of like me and only really ever read modern comic books. It feels like you're reading more of a novel than reading a comic book of today's standards, if that makes sense. Today's comic books, I feel like you can read them super fast. The artwork tells the largest majority of the story. But here, it's very much so you're reading the comic book and the artwork is kind of second. And in my opinion, right? Everybody may have their own opinion here. But very, very interesting. Stan Lee's commentary of, okay, this is where we're at now, or this is what Spider-Man's thinking, instead of just putting it into the dialogue and, maybe understanding that the reader would get where you're going at. And Justin Birch put it in a really good way. At some point along the way, we realized comic book readers were really intelligent and you don't have to explain every little thing. But it's very interesting. So, as you guys know, last year I read a ton and I, read fairly quickly. This is taking quite a bit of time out of a day to read 3 issues. It's taking me about 10 to 15 minutes an issue, which sounds like a lot, but again, 10 to 15 minutes an issue. We're reading 3 issues a day. That's 45 minutes, give or take, if you take a break or whatever. I mean, that's an hour commitment every day, which, again, doesn't sound like a lot, but it is right now. And it's been good. Some of the interesting things that I've seen so far is honestly seeing Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, watching that, right? That was kind of obviously most people's big first exposure, my big first exposure to Spider-Man, and to see all the really cool details they pulled from it. So far, it's very much so villain of the week. That was really interesting. It's like, okay, we're going to go Vulture, we're going to go Doc Ock, we're going to go Sandman. Seeing Doctor Doom in there, that was really interesting. And then Lizard, and then more Vulture, and to see the Fantastic Four really come in and play a lot is really cool. But one of the most interesting things to me at the time, or reading this that I didn't really expect, was reading the back issue. So in the back issues, the back of the issue, you see these letters and stuff that the readers at the time, they're sending in these letters and seeing the responses, and then to see these little blurbs at the beginning or at the end of the comic books, like, hey, you guys love Spider-Man, now we're going to make it monthly. Or you loved Vulture so much, now I'm really going to do that. And I think Marvel and DC and all these other comic book publishers should really focus back in on what the reader wants, if that makes sense. In the reading in, I think it was issue number 3, they started the letters coming in and people saying, oh, we love Vulture, you guys are doing so good here, or we're not liking that. And then to see those exact things being implemented a few issues later, man, no wonder it works so well, because they listen to the readers what the readers want. And I thought that was awesome. I really, really did. I thought it was interesting to get into the mindset of the readers during that time. Because obviously, this is nearly 60 years later, right? We're coming up on 60-year anniversary, I believe. Yeah. So super cool. The stories, like I said, are very neat. They do a good job of balancing Peter Parker, his life, the Daily Bugle, and obviously the villains and the hero story there, so to speak. Another thing that's really cool is I'm loving the personality of Peter Parker, okay, because he's totally this smart-ass, science dweeb, super funny. I'm enjoying the heck out of his personality that he has. Just really wasn't what I was expecting from Peter Parker. And, I read the entire Ultimate Spider-Man run, and that was okay. But totally different vibes from what I'm getting here. And so, again, we're only eight issues, technically 9 issues because of AF-15 in. So far, so good. A lot harder to read through. But we do have, what is today? Tuesday, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So I have another 9 issues I'll read before I do my final review for this week. I'm super pumped so far. I'm really enjoying it, and hopefully you guys are too. So that's all for right now. All right, it is now Friday at 8:22 on the 7th of January. We are 6 days into the Spider-Man challenge. I've already done a review, kind of what I read so far this week, but now I'm going to kind of finish it up. I have not gotten a chance to read up till 21 yet, issue 21, because tomorrow is 18 through 21, or 19, 20, 21 is kind of how it works out. But guys, 18 issues in. What are you thinking so far? For me, so far, it has been so much more enjoyable than I thought it was. Honestly, Steve Ditko's artwork is pretty impressive to me. And a lot of people are gonna be like, "Well, duh, it's Steve Ditko." But look, I mean, we're talking modern comic books. Just what they're able to do, whether it's because it's digitally or just the raw talents or whatever, and then you go back to kind of the way it was done here, there's a big difference. But still, the way Spider-Man is drawn, what he does with his webs, how Steve Ditko, the slingshots and the way he maneuvers his body, it's so impressive the way he draws Spider-Man, if I'm being frank. Now, the villains, some of them are kind of goofy, but... it's I think a lot of the time back then, but I mean, literally, it's like every issue is a brand new villain, Kraven, Green Goblin, all of those. But so far, it's been really good. It looks like I kind of looked at a couple of the next covers, because they basically, during this time period, tell you exactly what's going to be happening in the covers. It's pretty interesting, and I love that. And I love the little text box where Stanley's super braggadocious about what's happening in his Marvel mag, and I love that stuff. And you can tell the passion's there, and he's really listening to his fans. And I kind of spoke about that earlier this week, which is just earlier in the video for you guys. But so good. I'm really, honestly, truly just enjoying it so far. What's shocked me is we haven't seen Harry, Mary Jane, none of those. And I know they don't come till later or whatever, but I guess it doesn't really shock me because I knew that. But still, it's kind of like you see a lot of Liz, you see a lot of Flash Thompson and Betsy, the secretary, and it's just interesting. What's also interesting to me is just how literally every comic book, it's interesting the way Peter Parker, kind of the way he talks and speaks. And one thing that was so funny to me is that and I don't know if I mentioned this earlier in the video, but Peter Palmer, at one point he references Peter Parker as Peter Palmer. He did that early, in the Hulk with Bob Banner versus Bruce Banner at one point. Very interesting to me that you can just mispronounce or mistype your own character's name. I mean, yeah, Peter Palmer, Peter Parker. That kind of surprised me, but overall, I'm really enjoying it. We've seen Green Goblin, we've seen the Chameleon, we've seen Kraven, we've seen the Sandman. We've seen the Vulture. I don't like the Vulture at all. I think is so far just kind of lame. Kraven wasn't that cool, but we've only had a little bit of him. Sandman was okay. Green Goblin, we've only gotten a little bit so far, but so far we're so good. I think my favorite villain so far is J. Jonah Jameson, because he's super jealous of Spider-Man. He's everything he can't be. If you didn't know, that's why J. Jonah Jameson hates Peter Parker, Spider-Man. So pretty cool. I did like at one point Kirby got in and got to draw some Spider-Man. That was pretty neat. But yeah, 18 issues in. Harder than expected, more fun than expected. It's like, I don't know how to describe it, but like I'm actively enjoying this, which is a lot more than I thought I would, especially for the time period they were written in, especially because I'm not necessarily like a Spider-Man fanboy, but I'm enjoying it. And I really am enjoying the end of the issues where you get to read all of the letters that they sent in. But guys, let me know what you think. If you're doing this along with this, that's fantastic. Drop some comments. If not, these videos will be up here weekly as long as you guys are enjoying them. Don't forget, we just dropped our brand new exclusive for Supermassive #1. It's an oversized single #1. It's the first appearance of this new team for Image Comics by Higgins. And super, super exciting. So you can find that at twobrotherscomics.com. Guys, you're the best part of Two Brothers Comics. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it out. And as always, collect your way.